everybody, and welcome back to another episode of GameSpark. Today is episode 9. I am Susie Grace, and I have another amazing guest here with me, and I am so excited to chat about games. So if you could introduce yourself, please take it away.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jolie, also known as Joe the Crafty Shark.
And she is very crafty because she made me handmade this little guy. This is my little mascot. This is Kalulu, and he is our little mascot. And not only is it Kalulu, but it is Tears of the Kingdom Kalulu. She handmade this for me, and I'm just verklempt. Gosh. Joe has been a member of my community for a while now, and she is an absolute delight. So I am super excited to chat with her about games. So let's get started with our first question. My first question for you is, what is your earliest gaming memory?
I love this question. So I have two that I want to talk about here.
Please.
One is really the earliest memory I have of like seeing a game or anything like that.
Okay.
And then the other one is the earliest memory I have of like enjoying games. It wasn't really what got me into games, but I have this memory.
Okay.
So the first one is I remember seeing my uncle play Twilight Princess and my dad play a game called, I think it's called Horn, but it had a very similar vibe to like how it was played, like the dungeons and the bosses and stuff.
Okay.
And I remember like this little Viking boy that was the main character. But I remember being so entranced by it because I thought it was so like beautiful. I was like, it's like a movie, but you're like in the movie and you're like moving the character around. That's so cool.
This game is called Horn. I'm writing it down because I've never heard of it. Okay.
I must have been like somewhere around 5 or 6 at that point.
Okay.
So I didn't really understand like, you know, or put together me going through and playing these games myself. So the next memory I have is like playing the Lego Wii games with my siblings.
Oh my gosh, Lego
like
games are so great.
Thing.
They're so great.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
So this was like before even like the first Lego Harry Potter game came out. So we played like the OG Lego Star Wars games, Lego Indiana Jones 1 and 2, Lego Pirates of the Caribbean.
Wait a minute.
Lego
There was an
Batman.
Indiana Jones Lego?
Yes, that was my favorite.
Oh my God, I'm going to write that down too.
That was younger, so a lot of our experience was fighting over who's player 1 and who's player 2, who's collecting more coins than the other.
I mean,
but
are you ever, can you call yourself a gamer if you didn't fight over who was player 1 and player 2? That was just a rite of passage. Yes, oh my gosh. So how many of these Lego games did you guys play?
Better question is what ones didn't we play, I think.
Okay.
I don't even
Are there really
know
that many? Because I legitimately thought Lego games didn't really start coming out until, I mean, I don't even know. Like, I don't even know how many there are. But
if I remember correctly, some of the first ones were the Lego Star Wars ones.
Okay.
And then there was a Lego Racers game that I only just recently realized I still remember. I had completely forgotten about it until my brother pulled up the music from that game. And I was listening to it, I was like, why do I know this? Hold on. What is
core
this
memories have been
dragging
unlocked
out of my brain?
Like, yes.
Yes. That was like the best thing. So that was before like we even knew about like Mario Kart or anything. Was we played this Lego Racers game where you build your car and get to race around with it.
Oh my gosh. And this was all on the Wii.
A very obscure game. Yes. The Wii console.
Okay. Lego games for the win, apparently. So how old were you? They really are. Like, highly recommend Lego games. I think they're great. They're great for the whole family. Super fun for the whole family. How old would you say you were when you were playing these Lego games?
I was definitely under 10.
Okay.
My best guess is somewhere around like 7 or 8.
Okay.
And we played them like all the way up through, you know, I was in high school before I like started not playing it, mostly just because of life. I couldn't really get around to playing those things anymore.
Yeah.
But we still every now and then, like when the full Lego Star Wars thing came out where they revamped them and put them all together, me and him pulled it out again and started playing them. We'll pull out Lego Indiana Jones and just play it for fun whenever.
And I love that some of your earliest gaming memories, or that your earliest gaming memories of like enjoying video games and whatnot, are with your siblings. I think that's really great.
Yes.
I think that's awesome. Okay, so here's my second question. What would you say is your spark game? The game that like got you into gaming, the game that, well, sparked your love of gaming?
I know exactly what one that is, and it's Undertale.
Undertale, really?
Yes. So when I finally started like kind of piecing together like, oh, video games can be like a really in-depth story that can be like really emotionally impactful, something beyond just the goofiness of the Lego games, you know. It was when I just happened to stumble across someone playing Undertale online, like on YouTube, and I'm watching it and I'm realizing, wait, hold on, this is actually really cool. I want to experience this. And it was the first game that I like sought out on my own to get the game and then played it totally by myself. Well, I say by myself. I played it on my own, and when I got to tough spots, I had my brother take over the boss fights, you know.
Gotcha. I
still
played
do that to
Undertale,
this
and
day
those boss
sometimes.
fights are weird. They're weird. Like,
Yes.
there's the fighting style is very. I mean, maybe that's why it has such a dedicated fan base, because it's such a different, unique game. But I do remember the boss fights being kind of like, what? I was really kind of.
I will say, I defeated Asgore first try actually on my own, so I'm very proud of that.
Look at you! Look at you! Yeah, I can't say I did that. Nope, I did not.
We won't talk about the fight right after that and how many times I had to hand over the controller to my brother. But, you know.
What is the first game you played and beat all on your own? Would you say that was Undertale?
Nope, that's a different game.
Okay.
Because my first like spark game that got me interested in games is Undertale. I had to get a lot of help with the boss fights. I'm not a gamer by any means. The gameplay is not a thing that I'm very good at. So especially if there's combat, it's very sketch. It's not very good for me. So I'm very proud of this one. The first game that I did totally on my own, like no looking up how to get through puzzles or anything, no handing controllers off to my brother for fights, was the remastered Link's Awakening. So that wasn't that long ago.
Nice job. And that game is challenging. I just played through that game pretty recently, and all aboard the struggle bus. Like, I really struggled with that game. So that is excellent. Good for you. That's fantastic.
I don't remember if I put this one in the Discord, but I made another sculpture that I brought it here with me because I love this game so much, and I just got inspired by watching someone else play it. I'm ADHD. So sometimes I just get an idea and it like grabs hold and I just cannot stop thinking about it until I make it. And this was one of those. So I have a little figurine that I made for it.
Oh my
gosh! It's got like all the little floating instruments.
It has all the instruments.
Yes.
Oh.
And it makes me very happy.
My gosh.
Took a lot of work, but I'm very proud of it, and it just makes me happy because, like I said, that's the first game that I played totally on my own too, so it's a big moment for me.
That is a huge moment, and I love that so much. And I just realized at the beginning of this interview, you showed me this little miniature Kalulu.
Oh, yeah?
And I have him cropped out of the scene. So let me pull my camera down just a little bit so you can actually see him, and then I will edit that. There he is! Oh my gosh! Yeah. Okay, now we're keeping Kalulu in the shot from here on out. I cropped him out. That's my bad. So moving on from here, Kalulu is with us.
All is right with the world now.
Yep, all is right with the world. All of a sudden, when you showed me that, I was like, wait a minute, she has a Kalulu on her microphone. Oh my gosh. My next question for you is, what are your top 3 games that have affected you the most?
I wrote this one down.
Okay.
Because I wrote the top 3 games and then a lesson that it teaches you.
Oh, excellent.
Which is sort of why I love it so much, why this story I feel impacts me so much.
Great.
The first one is Undertale.
Okay.
And I'll tell you, you don't get the same impact that I got from this playing just the neutral route. I think I remember from one of your other Game Sparks or something like that you played Undertale, but you never saw the pacifist route.
Yeah, you're right. I think because nobody told me anything, so they just let me go into it, and then I was just like, well, I don't know. So yeah, no, I've never seen the pacifist route. Nope.
That game is very meta. It almost entices you, and it is designed to play in a bunch of different ways. So it's almost as if the story itself is actually broken up into the 3 different paths, different routes.
Okay.
So there's so much of the story that you don't get if you don't play the pacifist route. And the most emotionally impactful scenes are in the pacifist route. That's what I love the most. But the theme that I love the most in Undertale is specifically that showing mercy and love is far more powerful than fighting, and everyone is worth trying to save.
I
just
actually
love
really
that so
agree.
much.
I do. I love that a lot too. I think that's a really, really lovely lesson that I think a whole lot of people could really benefit from.
Yeah.
Especially in today's world.
Right, second one.
Okay.
The second one is the game One Shot. I don't know if you've ever played it or heard of it.
I don't think so, but I'm going to write it down.
It's in the same vein as Undertale, where it's this like little pixelated adventure that you go through with your little character, kind of walk them around the world, except this one doesn't have any like combat elements. But in my opinion, the story is even more emotionally impactful than Undertale.
Oh, wow.
Also, the main character is a cute little cat boy named Nico, and he's adorable. I love him.
Perfect.
But that one is very meta as well, in the sense of like you as the player are addressed in the game, and you are put in a situation where you have to make this heavy choice, weighing 2 options. That's the whole point of the game. You know what choice you're going to have to make from the very beginning of the game. They tell you right out the gate. But go throughout this game, and your opinions are changed or swayed either way, and it's so interesting to me, that choice that you have to make. You get to the very end, basically you're going to cry no matter what choice you make.
Okay,
it's that impactful.
Good to know. Good to know. I'm gonna draw a little sad face next to this name. Next to the name. Just be warned.
It's a bittersweet ending.
Okay.
I love bittersweet endings, but this one I really learned to like the weight of choice, because no matter what you choose at the end of that game, it has an impact. It has a weight, a punch to it, that you have to really acknowledge what you have chosen for this character.
That is wild.
Right?
That's one of the most amazing things about gaming, is that now, I mean, games haven't always been that way, but like the fact that games can even make us feel that way and make us feel that emotionally attached to a choice that doesn't even affect us in real life, but it feels like it does. And it really, really does affect us. So I've written that one down. I'm going to have to check that one out. Brittany's frowny face probably will make me cry. Noted.
It definitely will make you cry.
Got it. Okay. All right. Game number 3.
Game number 3, you're playing through right now. It's Owlboy.
Yay! And I love Owlboy. I've only done it twice. I've only played it 2 times. But Owlboy is darling. It's a delight.
This game, I'm telling you, it is so surprisingly impactful. Like, there are themes throughout this that just completely blow you away. You haven't even gotten to the thick of what this story is.
Well, everybody freaking treats him like a punching bag at the beginning. I was horrified.
Yes. He's a nervous little Owlboy. Okay,
top 3 games, like of all the games you've ever played, top 3 games that have affected you, and Owlboy is on that list. So that's...
And here's the lesson that you get from this.
Okay.
So you've already encountered Otis as this very nervous character.
Yes.
And it's because of how he has been treated based on, his limitations. And I won't spoil anything later in the game, but the main theme that you see specifically for Otis that I just resonate with so much, is that courage is not the absence of fear, but doing the right thing in spite of it. It is a huge, huge part of that game, and it's so amazing to see how that plays out throughout the entire thing. Yeah.
I feel terrible that I totally took away some of your interview material because I haven't played the game yet.
It's okay. You can come back to this interview after you finished Owlboy, and then you'll be like, oh, I totally get it now.
I see the light. Oh my gosh. Owlboy has been a blast. I have laughed so many times. Okay, so those are your 3 games that have affected you the most out of all the games, and Owlboy made it. Yep. I'm very excited to finish Owlboy. I wish I could.
Most emotionally impactful games I have played.
Oh, okay. I gotta prepare. Okay, that segues into my next question, which is, have any games made you cry?
Better question, what games haven't made me cry?
I was looking at my list and I was thinking, it's kind of a dumb question because she just talked about how Owlboy and all these other games affected her. So really I should find another way to ask it, but I asked it in the lamest way possible. So can you think of some that in particular? You don't have to go into like crazy detail, but...
Yeah, so the one that just sticks out to me the most, I think, is Undertale. Going back to that first game that I just love that story so much. Because it's my first experience with like the story of a game, having a game that has this story and these characters that you get so attached to, getting to the end of that pacifist route. I'm gonna try not to spoil it because you should play the pacifist route at some point.
Oh, maybe someday.
Someday, or at least see someone play it because the story's just so good. But you get to the end of that route and there's this character that you think you understand. You've gotten like little hints of what their story is kind of throughout the entire game, but you don't really piece it together until a final reveal in that pacifist fight. And it's like an instant, like you are just completely blown back by like, you understand this character now. And this whole time you've been wanting to fight them, to do something to them, and it just changes in an instant to, I want to save them. And it was just
interesting.
They don't need someone to take them down. They need a hug, honestly. They need someone to be with them, to understand them, to talk to, because they've never had that before. And it's just like, when you hit that moment and you get to choose to save them, it's just like instant tears.
Man.
It's such a good moment.
Well, yeah, because there are a lot of people walking around on this earth right now that need that. They need, they're misunderstood and they need care and they need support and they need love rather than judgment and anger and hate. Probably make me cry too. Great. So write that down again. Pacifist.
Really though, it's the better question is what games don't make me cry. It's just I'm an extreme empath. Like I feel for people so strongly. Even fictional characters. I always loved stories that are more emotionally impactful like that because I feel them so deeply. So I mean, if it's something that's just like really, really happy, I'm gonna cry. If it's something that's very sad, I'm gonna cry. If I'm get really angry at a character, I'm gonna cry. Like it's every time.
Have you ever thrown a controller? Because you've been so angry.
Not.
Okay, just out of curiosity. Sometimes the emotional responses we have to games are super angry ones, and we can't do something.
Close.
You've come close.
I mean. Okay, now that I'm thinking about it, with the Lego games, I think the only time I've actually like rage thrown a controller is probably with the Wii games, Lego games, and it wasn't necessarily the game I was angry at, it was my siblings.
Oh, got it. If it weren't for those pesky siblings. Oh my gosh, I have memories like that too, playing with my siblings.
Those wrist straps for the Wii remotes, those are important.
Yeah, you're like, make sure to wear your straps so you don't throw it at your brother. Yes. That's so funny. I think that's great. I think the fact that games affect you so deeply, it's like I've said before, I don't understand how a game is any different than a book or a movie. I think of like Tears of the Kingdom, how we were kind of all crying over Tears of the Kingdom, and how I heard from so many people that the ending, there were multiple times actually that, made me emotional while I was playing it. And I just thought, what a way to come together with a bunch of people. We all cried over these scenes and these aren't even real people. And yet we were all crying and we were all sobbing and we were all like, if we'd all been in the same room together, we all would have been hugging and we all would have been like sobbing on each other's shoulders. And I think that's really beautiful. So, so all games make you cry.
Basically.
Almost. Okay, got it. I think that's great. I love that. This may be kind of on the fly, but can you name some of your favorite games that you've ever played?
Well, I've named my top 3 already.
Okay, so those are your top 3
Undertale,
like
Owlboy, One
favorite
Shot.
games. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Because
Um,
some people are like, this game affected me the most, but I wouldn't necessarily call it my favorite game of all time. So I wanted to give you an opportunity in case they weren't the same.
yeah, they are very much the same for me because
Okay.
that's what I love about video games is that impact in the story. So naturally, the ones that affect me the most emotionally, the story, those are going to be my top games.
Got it.
Um, Other ones that I have absolutely loved: Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom. Some other ones that I have absolutely loved. Most of them are sort of the same caliber, sort of same like fighting style or the story. It's either like Undertale or it has a little more combat like Owlboy or Breath of the Wild. Crosscode, which I know you didn't really enjoy.
You know what? It might have been the time of life I was in. Like, I don't know. I feel
Maybe.
like I still have it. And I'm waiting to revisit it, but it didn't like click with me right off the bat. But my brother swears by it. So Crosscode.
It's really good.
Crosscode.
The story is good. What I didn't like about it was the sort of the gameplay got really boring and kind of repetitive for me, the fighting style.
Okay.
But I have a brother that is willing to do the level grinding for me.
Yay! Oh, that's what we all need.
So I got to just enjoy the story when I
Nice.
got bored with the combat elements.
Okay, that's fair.
But it really
Totally
has
fair.
a fantastic story.
Okay.
I'm in the middle of Sea of Stars right now.
I've heard great things about Sea of Stars.
Oh my gosh. I'm telling you, it's gonna be in my top 3. It's gonna replace one of those top 3. It's
What?
amazing.
That amazing?
Yes.
Okay.
And then the one that I love that's a very different caliber than the others because it actually didn't make me cry. I just realized.
Okay.
Because it's more of like a happy, like exciting game that makes you just laugh. And that's Hi-Fi Rush. It's a rhythm-based fighting game.
Oh my gosh, you had me rhythm-based.
It's such a wonderful, like, fun story. I don't know how to describe it other than it's fun.
Okay, so my last question for you is, why do you play video games?
Well, I have already kind of hit on it multiple times throughout this, but I love stories. I have always loved stories. My imagination is unbelievably vivid. And because I'm an empath, I've always been drawn to them. I'm an avid book reader. All throughout school, I was like reading like a couple books a week. Like I would just blow through them.
Yeah.
Always loved movies. Like I grew up on Disney, like all of these classic stories. TV shows, like I would just consume stories in any format I could get them because I just love that you can make something that's not real feel so impactful, so real. Like you know these characters, you know this story. You're able to create something beautiful with just words or just pictures on a screen. Playing video games, when I really played Undertale for the first time, when I found out that I could be part of the story myself and change the story myself, that was just like, it's a new medium for me to encounter stories, and I just love it. It's a slightly different experience from book reading or movie watching.
Yeah.
I like to read books more than I like to watch movies because I have creativity in how I can imagine what the world looks like. And it's like I'm there in the story, I am this character. But then in video games, you have the world already there, but you get to sort of like encounter it or explore it in pieces by your own choice. You get to move this character around by your own choice. Like there's elements of it that are similar to both movies and books, but also so different that you just can't get that any other way than through video games.
I totally agree. I feel like, I mean, when I play a Zelda game, I don't feel like I'm an outsider. I feel like I am Link, and I am making those choices as Link would make those choices.
Every time I've talked about games with someone, my answers have always been different.
Oh, really?
Where I'm like obsessed and I love the story of like Undertale and I'll talk about the story and the lore of Breath of the Wild and stuff. Everyone else is like, it was okay. I didn't really like the gameplay. Like there's such a huge chunk of people who play games that play it for the gameplay, like the entertainment of fighting bosses and stuff like that. I guess my experience of playing these games specifically for the story, a game could be fun gameplay wise, but if it doesn't have a good story, I'm gonna drop it like a hot rock. it's gone.
I'm
But,
actually with you. If a game does not have a very good story, I'm kind of like,
yeah.
what's the point?
Yeah. And then, of course, there's like the point and click style games that might have an incredible story, but everyone, dogs on them because of the gameplay. They're like, that's not a real game, it's point and click. Something like Broken Age. Another wonderful story, but it's a point and click, so it's not
This is another
interesting,
game?
I guess, for a stream.
Down again. Broken Age?
Broken Age. Yeah.
Girl, where do you find your games? I've never heard of any of these. Well, some of them, but...
Most of the time, I take these games and I put them into Google. I'm like, games like, and then just click on all of them.
Yeah.
Just do a lot of searching, because it's a very specific taste in games that I'm like, I want a really nice story. I want it to look very pretty if that's available, but definitely a really good story. To find the really good ones, it just takes a little bit of searching, just looking through trailers, playing little bits of games until you find one that really resonates. And I find that a lot of the best ones with the best stories are indie games.
Oh yeah, 100%. I will die on that hill that indie games are some of the best games. And I feel so lucky to be alive at a time when we have like a surplus of indie games, because they have the best stories. Every once in a while, a big giant game comes out that really nails it, like Horizon Zero Dawn / Forbidden West, or like Final Fantasy games or whatever. These are these gigantic titles that people wait for years for another release for, right? But quietly, as we're all sitting and waiting, there are these indie developers that are creating these masterpiece games like Celeste and like Bastion and Undertale and things like that are just absolute gems. And I will die on that hill. I really, really love your taste. I think it's fantastic. I don't know if you guys can see my notes, but like I have all these notes from our interview tonight, because
I should put Later Alligator on there too.
Later Alligator? That sounds like a blast. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me and to chat with me about games. I really, really, really appreciate it. It's been so it's been really, really refreshing. Not that I get tired of hearing about Super Mario Brothers or whatever, because like I get that. Like there are games that are really popular that have been around for a long time for a reason. I get that. But it's really refreshing to hear games that I've never heard of and that I get to look up and add to my ever-growing backlog. But I have all these notes here of all the games that you've mentioned tonight. So I just really appreciate you taking the time to chat about games. And it's very clear about it. Yeah, it's very clear that you're very passionate about it, and I really love that. So thank you so much.
Absolutely.